in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity, tomorrow never certain. What was behind the curtain? The face of evil lurking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Wait for me by the green hill, my brother build shelter. Make sure there's room for another. For surely what is mine unto you I will offer. For diligently guarding a citadel and cover. Wait for me by the green hill, my sister out there. You be safe from the blizzard and the blister. The marching will be hard, the mountains will shiver. So wait at the green hill down by the river. The harvest of the year and all the chaff is cast away. Marching then retreating to live to march on all that the resources are depleting. Guess it's just the price we pay. Emotions they are fleeting and lead many a man astray, tormented by the sword and the vagaries of war. The children of brethren cut down to the floor. Tyrants will freely born and the masses will applaud. All treaties and systems and kinships will fall. Wait for me by the green hill, my brother build shelter. Make sure there's room for another. Surely what is mine unto you I will offer. For diligently guarding a citadel and cover. Wait for me by the green hill, my sister out there. You be safe from the blizzard and the blister. The marching will be hard, the mountains will shiver. So wait at the green hill down by the river. Everlasting burn, the everlasting light. With passion and with verve, we shall tempt the edge of fate tonight. Cannons are blasting, hearts are filled with fire and fright. Weapons are massing, we're building them at higher heights. From depth of the sea to the soaring of the peaks, the children of brethren can't find their release. For vengeance or for peace, because the sorrow and the grief, the wind by the green hill will bring some relief. Wait for me by the green hill, my brother build shelter. Make sure there's room for another. For surely what is mine to you I will offer. For diligently guarding a citadel and cover. Wait for me by the green hill, my sister out there. You be safe from the blizzard and the blister. The marching will be hard, the mountains will shiver. So wait at the green hill down by the river. Brother build shelter. Make sure there's room for another. For surely what is mine to you I will offer. For diligently guarding a citadel and cover. Wait for me by the green hill, my sister out there. You be safe from the blizzard and the blister. The marching will be hard, the mountains will shiver. So wait at the green hill down by the river.
Oh, you're muted. I think you're muted.
You think I'm muted?
There you are. I feel that you're
Feel I'm muted.
Man, that was some old school vibes there. I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Haven't heard Green Hill in a while, huh?
I like how you painted Green Hill on the logo.
Yeah, there you go. It's low budget marketing right there. Now, how are you doing though? How's it going today, Joan?
It's going well.
You've been busy lately, haven't you?
Yeah, no, we have a gig coming up. It was something that we booked kind of short notice, but it's going to be pretty cool at the San Diego Convention Center. It's in a couple weeks, so we're just getting ready for that.
I see. And what does preparations for the gig look like? What does that look like? A lot of practice, a lot of phone calls?
32 songs, which is not bad. And 2 rehearsals, and then just getting all the rentals going. It was a little bit tricky, looking for certain people to staff for it. And I think we have one more puzzle piece missing, but other than that, we're almost there. Yeah.
So you have musicians plus other parts of the staff. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to be borrowing your eyes a lot today. Seems like Dr. Thunder, though, just from the avatar. We have a super chat, if you don't mind reading both.
A little something for the collection plate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You got brighter light. You finally got lights in your room.
I think I just fixed the camera settings. Like I fixed the ISO.
Okay.
I mean, I turned on the light that's right here, but we'll see. Hopefully I don't have to do too much adjustments as it gets darker.
Indeed.
So how's life? How's life? What's happening in the life of Ike?
What's happening in the life of Ike? In November, I'm going to be out of the country. And I'm going to be out of the country for 3 months.
That's a long time.
Which is, it's a significant amount of time. It's a quarter of a year, if you look at it like that, right? But I think that November and December are generally quiet, business-wise, anyways. In terms of face-to-face meetings, in terms of people taking their vacations and so on and so forth. So my absence may not be that impactful in that regard. Not like I'm not. Obviously, I don't stop working, right? But may not need to. And then January, January is just, January is January, and you can sneak back in at the end of January. And but I'll be in Ghana for the most part, completing some projects over there. Check out my video, ladies and gentlemen, on how I double my money every 2 years. I think that's what I titled it. And check it out to see some of the projects that are going on over there in transportation and in the whole real estate thing. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's what's up. Busy as usual, but we're happy, as it says right on top of our head. It says happiness. It says chasing happiness.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun topic.
So, ladies and gentlemen, why are we doing this today? And I hope everyone in the chat is doing well. Who do we have in the chat today, Joan? Who do you see?
Who is there? There is April Harmony. Oh, there's Dee. I haven't seen her in a while. Hey, Dee. There's someone named Miles and Corrine and Stoic and Technological Chaos.
Oh yeah.
Love.
Shout out to Kareen. See, I lost my glasses the other day. That is the regular prescription glasses.
Oh, is that what you're wearing?
These are prescription shades.
Oh, fancy.
But it's the lighting in the room and certain other things don't kind of work out for it. So that's why I'm kind of just it's not. That's why I'm rocking shades, just to explain myself here.
Gotcha. You're not just one of those weirdos who wears sunglasses in the dark. Right?
I do. I am one of those weirdos that wears sunglasses.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that.
I guess.
I think one of our first oh no, you didn't. Oh, but yeah, but one of my first gigs, I put on sunglasses and I went. It was like a battle of the bands type situation. Okay, battle of the bands at TGI Friday. I know it sounds strange, but it did happen. And I showed up there, I had glasses on, and one of the judges, one of the comments was like, "Glasses?" Question mark? Like really? You do to be that guy? I'm like, some people are. Anyways, happiness, ladies and gentlemen. She was trying to ruin my happiness.
Yeah, she was. If happiness is sunglasses indoors, then you deserve it.
Yeah, some of us like the dark, so it makes sense to protect one's eyes. And also it makes a lot of sense for me to do that otherwise. Anyways. Happiness. So it is a fundamental question, right? It is something that even political orders are based on, right? Mm-hmm. The modern political order, the modern political dispensation is about the pursuit of, or the rights, basically, the right to life, to liberty, and to pursuit of property. And then happiness got put in there too, right? As a right, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Mm-hmm. And I think they're pointing to the same thing. And I think that the pursuit question, and that's why it says chasing happiness, there are many basic low-level things one can begin to say about that whole pursuit of happiness. How does it strike you to begin with, right? Like the whole question of that it is for losers, which is my hypothesis, okay? What we're going to test out today is basically this, that the chasing of happiness is going to lead you to everything but what you think happiness is, right? And also, making happiness a goal is a problem, or expecting happiness is also a problem. Happiness, to begin with, is one of those words which we're going to need to break down. It's like love, in the sense that even the basic people know, okay, well, love, well, is it agape, or is it this, or is it that, right? That's just to start with. Happiness is also similar, right? Because people start talking about things like joy and elation and satisfaction and right? So it's one of those big words, and then we have to see what people mean. And I want to start there in a simple way by thinking about unhappiness, which is usually an easy way of doing things. When you have things such as good and bad, it's easy to think about bad, right? If you have a problem like agreeing, well, what is the good? It's like, okay, well, let's agree on what bad is. And usually it's a nice basic place where we can all start. So what do you have to say about the pursuit of happiness, right? What does it mean to you? Are you one of those people who uses that words or uses that word? I'm in the minority in this case, in the sense that happiness is not a word that I use, or that it's not my thing, right? I suspect you probably lean that way too, but maybe you're a little bit more of a hippie than I am. What do you think about that happiness thing, the pursuit of happiness, the political foundations, plus also in terms of your life and the use of the word? Is it part of your lexicon, as they say?
Yeah, happiness was definitely something I pursued in my younger years because I didn't quite understand. I mean, nobody really thinks like, what is happiness? What does that really mean? How does that really feel? And as I got older and realized happiness is an emotion, and emotions are temporary states of beings, I don't really use the word happiness as much as I used to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Now, I suspected that you were probably that way or going to end up more leaning that way, anyways. But I think, would you not agree? Well, let me ask you this: do you think
Mhm.
that's partly a function of your personality, that you do give space for, your sister, your uncle, your auntie, whomever, these people who tend to talk the happiness talk more, and you recognize, okay, my personality has a lot to do with the fact that I tend not to focus on it, or is that
Uh-huh.
not true for you?
Do I focus on happiness? No.
You say you don't, but is it part of your personality not to focus on happiness? And do you
Hmm.
see it that way, or do you just think it's some kind of a decision made or something like that?
I think happiness can be a decision made. What can be, um, what like a situation that can make someone else happy might not necessarily make me feel happiness. If that makes sense. Like everybody experiences happiness in different ways. I don't really focus on, oh, if I do this I'll be happy. No, I just do what I do, because I want to, not because it's going to make me happy. I've kind of gotten to the point where
Huh.
Outcomes don't necessarily make me feel happy. Like I don't expect that outcome. I was like, oh, if I do this I'll be happy. Oh, if I spend time with this person I'll be happy. Like it's
Okay,
not
Joan. I
that
okay.
anymore.
I was testing. I was testing you for something, and for for this topic, I know you're gonna mainly, and I think you. It's not possible to come down to earth. We know about the mountain and the earth thing that I always accuse you of. Joan is always out up there doing her cult leader thing, hovering up, talking about, you get a billion and you get a billion, and anyways. Um,
No, you give me
let's
a billion, you can join my cult.
exactly. But let's come down to earth a little bit and let's talk about unhappiness, right? Because
Hmm.
I say it's a beginning point to begin to unpack a lot of these BS words. Not that
Hmm.
the concept is wrong, it's
Hmm.
that the word is too big. And when it's big, it's vague, it's low resolution, right? Inside this big bucket of happiness, there are many things which we already mentioned before. We talked about the fact that it is a feeling, and then there are many kind of feelings adjacent to that. Somebody in the chat talked about the dopamine kick. Is it just chasing the white dragon or chasing the dopamine dragon, chasing the D, whatever that is,
Hmm.
right? Let's say this: when people say that I am unhappy, I am going to propose something, right?
Hmm.
And we're gonna just start out here very externally, very kind of dry and defining our what we're saying. But I'm saying that when people say that they're unhappy, they're looking for a future state, right?
Hmm.
That is different from their current state,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And the internal state, the biochemical state, is actually more. It's what's important here because you just pointed out that what makes one person happy doesn't necessarily will make you happy, but even you will not be made happy by the same thing in different circumstances, different times, different periods in your life, right?
Hmm.
So it's not so much about the set of circumstances, right? Or the
Hmm.
object or whatever it may be. It more is in an internal state that is sought, right? There
Hmm.
is a longing for a different state, different dopaminergic state, a different blood pressure at the time, temperature perhaps, and all these other things that you can literally measure them that way, right?
Hmm.
That will put this person in a different state. And this state will color their experience in a particular way such that, you know, they will now say they're happy. So
Hmm.
it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of a future state where you feel better than your current state.
Right.
Is that not? Right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
agreed.
I think that we can start to use that as a working mechanism, which will kind of increase in resolution as we go. So we're saying when we're unhappy, we're trying to find this particular state, right? So far, it fits all our descriptions. People who said it's dopamine, it fits in this bucket as well, right? Of, okay, state. People who say it is my particular decision to orient myself in such and such a way with
Hmm.
one hand on top of the hill and the mountain. That it also fits in this bucket, right?
Hmm.
Because we're saying it's a particular state. So now I'm going to state one particular hypothesis, and then we're going to play the video and just kind of free talk around this topic. To restate the hypothesis is that to make happiness a goal or to expect happiness is a big problem, but let's agree that it is a good way to judge other people externally. In other words, let me be clear on this. I'm saying that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is good because it's political. In terms of politics, in terms of other people, gauging ourselves in terms of happiness is as good a barometer as we can get.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of wanting to know, are we cool? Right? As the individual, are you cool? There are many little different gauges. Can I get a 1 in the chat, or am I rambling too early? Rambling is fine over here, but too early may be a problem. But basically, I'm saying that, look, when you want to measure the group, right, and how maybe there be cohesion or certain other things like that, or you want to talk about people externally and you want to depend on their self-reporting, right? It's a subjective thing. Again, the best you can do, the best gauge you can kind of have, generally speaking, is to say, how happy are they? You happy? You happy? You happy? Right? So life, liberty, the pursuit of what you think is happiness, the pursuit of that future state, that kind of thing. We don't want to infringe upon that on each other, right? We're cool. That is what we said there, right? That is what is the modern political dispensation says, hey, we don't want to kill each other, right? Okay, we want to live. We don't necessarily want to enslave each other. And we want to pursue that weird thing that we say is happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
This future state that we want to try, whatever it may be. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of our delusions, the pursuit of our fantasies, the pursuit of our crazy, wacky, whatever it may be, right? So I'm saying that that's a good thing to do political or organization-wise in a particular sense. And it works. We see it work. However, internally, here goes that whole internal and external thing again. Internally, to expect happiness is rather ridiculous. It's like trying to fix one particular arrangement of atoms in a river. The river is the river. The river is not going to change, but the river is going to have many different molecules of water flowing by. It's always changing. It's always turbulent. The internal state, and so on and so forth. And by the way, I'm going to also say, and let me know what you think about this. Basically, we need to strive to be in a different position. Otherwise, we would not even be alive, right? Basically, if you don't have an energy differential, right, like hot flowing into cooler regions, high coming down to lows and things like that, and the whole energy scheme, if there's no energy differential, life doesn't happen. If the sun just goes out and everything becomes even temperature, even energy, right, life doesn't happen. The same thing, that's what you experience as well. These different states that you're striving for, and then you get, and then it becomes now the new case for new disorder, new thesis and antithesis that you're trying to resolve. This kind of chase, acquire, and then now there's a new chase is part of what actually being alive necessitates. And you cannot even be alive, or what do you think about that so far?
Yeah, trying to follow you because it is a little.
yeah. Try to take it in.
Yeah, taking it in. No, I think just to try to summarize it the way I understood what you said, you wouldn't understand what happiness even is unless you felt something else. And no matter what you go through in life, yes, you chase happiness. And then once you chase that thing, that future state of being, and the thing that's attached to it, and once you get it, and then you feel happiness, but then all of a sudden the happiness is gone, and then you're going to keep chasing something else until you feel it again. So that's the thing with emotions, right? Like they're fleeting, and the happiness is, superficial, like that, not everything can make you happy, and then you can choose what makes you happy, but then at the same time it's always changing, and you can choose like, oh, I got this thing that I thought would make me happy, well, it's not really making me happy, whatever that means for you. But we're constantly chasing an emotion, like a state of being, an emotion, and the thing is like, again, emotions are temporary, so no matter how much you're chasing it, unless you've come to terms with something inside you, I mean, these feelings come and go.
I like how you say come to terms with something, and that is a good thing. We hold on to something. What do we hold on to? We hold on to the moment, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea here, and that's a good kind of summary of how, of basically saying what I said. Because I'm trying to keep it very external and biochemical and just like saying, there are these states, and this is life has to function that way. There's this energy thing. There's always kind of a blah 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 blah, right? Always fighting against entropy, whatever you want to call it. So you saying that we have to hold on to something, which by the way, you agree that is the moment that we have to hold on to, and that if we
Mm-hmm.
hold on to the moment, therefore we're not going to be thrown off by all these perturbances. Oh, a change in my feelings, in the images in my head and in the talk in my head, right? So my whole thing is feeling, image, talk, right? That's how all subjective consciousness is constructed. There are only three things that happen to you, only three things that happen to me, or at least it could be broken down into at least those three. You have
Mm-hmm.
feelings in your body. It could be internal, like sensations of and emotions and stuff like that. Maybe even an instinct or an intuition can come up as a feeling, but it's in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the couch, right?
No.
And and then you have images in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And voices in your head. It's not
Mm-hmm.
in your toe, and it's images and voices. We call it talk, we call it dreams, we call it whatever, hallucinations, all that stuff. So images and voices, these hallucinations just happening all the time. Feelings in the body doing their thing. That river that I described, right? It has a form. It's called you, but it is flowing for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get caught up in this flow of the river, that is the problem, right, Joan?
Mm-hmm.
When you get caught up in the flow of the river, by caught up, we have to. I'm using caught up as a shorthand. We kind of know what caught up means in this particular instance. If you get caught up in the flow of the river, that's the problem. What
Mm-hmm.
you need to do is to be able to hold on to the moment, which is that thing that doesn't change. The moment is now or tomorrow or yesterday or a billion years from now or whatever, right? It never changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a problem with the future states that you're looking for. There's only one commonality about the future state, which is that it happens in a moment, in the now. And the now never changes. And you can become conversant with the now rather than be in the flow. We have colloquial language for it. We say, get out of your head, get out of your feelings, right? Being in your head and in your feelings is being in that river, which
Mm-hmm.
again, it's doing its thing. It's feelings in the
Mm-hmm.
body, image in the head, talk in the head, doing its thing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting in there, stuck in there is a problem. But that's where we live, though, and there's a good river, and we want to have it to live there, and it's fun, and all that kind of. We get it, but that's why we have to explain getting caught up. But we know what getting caught up means in this particular regard, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is you want to hold on to the moment, right? And the moment never changes. If you're going for tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm going to be happy, guess what tomorrow is going to feel like? Tomorrow's going to feel like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now never changes, right? The moment is all you have. It's all it'll ever be. Tomorrow will
Mm-hmm.
feel just like today, and in terms of the fundamental presence of your consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That part's not going anywhere. So until you make friends with that part, which can lead you down a deep kind of nihilistic path or whatever you want to go, right? Until you make friends with the emptiness, you're never gonna make it, Joan. You wanna let us know how because isn't that part and parcel of your whole giving up of the ego thing, or am I making sense in your regard here?
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I try to make sense of it in a way like what you're saying, whatever makes sense, the way I would explain it. From what I understand is that our egos hold on to something, like our ego is that sense of self, right? Like it has to hold on to something, otherwise who would it be? Like it has to hold on to that anger it felt. It has to hold on to that identity that it was given. It has to hold on to something, otherwise it wouldn't exist. And I think that's what you mean when we're holding on to a moment that doesn't change. But the thing is, our feelings change because our thoughts change, and when our thoughts change, our feelings change. It becomes this like never-ending cycle. So unless you come to terms with what is, whatever that is, if that makes sense. You're never really going to feel, I don't know if fulfillment is the word, or like just a sense of like peace of where you are, like, hey, this is where I am, and just accept that and be aware of that, and I don't know, feel good. I don't know what the right word is, but just having that state of joy. I mean, I can't really figure out, like, I don't know how to like explain the difference between joy and happiness, because I know there's a difference. Like happiness, I feel like, again, it's, superficial, where joy, it's just like an internal feeling that you just have, where you're just like, wow, this is where I am, and you just
Let's try.
accept it.
Let's try, because I have that issue too. But I've heard
Mm-hmm.
something, and let's try this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps joy. It is said that you can be unhappy, but still feel joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to. They say like you could be working, for example, on your whatever. You could have this kind of joy from a broader. The way I see it is like joy has a bigger context.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be in joy about your life, even though you know that today and perhaps the next 7 months are going to be a toil, right? In a smaller context, you can be kind of unhappy, but joy seems to come from a broader context. Is
Mm-hmm.
the way people describe the difference? That's what I've gathered from it. Does that make sense in
It
your?
does, because I feel like with joy, there's an overall sense of, again, like peace and acceptance and just being, like just that peaceful, calm sense of being, where you're just like, okay, this is my life. I feel good. No matter what happens, I might feel differently every now and then, but at the end of the day, I accept where I am at this moment. And I don't know, I guess, yeah, it's the joy thing is like it makes sense, like a broader look at your whole life, like your whole life, not just that moment, where it's like that one moment is the happiness, that one moment is the anger, but overall, no matter what you're feeling, you feel joy because you're happy to be alive, I guess.
So we're gonna play a little bit of Teal Swan, but well, before that, I like that you mentioned the coming to terms with what is.
Mm-hmm.
So what is then? And it's not a big deal because we're talking about subjective consciousness here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about physics.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or we're not talking metaphysical. In other words, we're not talking about some kind of how the common existence exists or whatever. It is a question of what is what we just agreed that is, which is feelings in your body,
Mm-hmm.
images in your head, and talk in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a one in the chat if we can at least agree that even if we cannot agree on anything else, when it comes to this question of our experience, happiness or not, and so on and so forth, the thing we're trying to get in touch with is feelings in the body, image in the head, and talk in the head. Can I get a one in the chat if we're down for FIT? It's fit. Feeling, image, and talk, right? So if feeling, image, and talk is basically what is, then mastery of the body in terms of the manifestations of things like anger, sadness, sorrow, hunger, whatever it may be, how it manifests in the body, how it manifests in the image, and how it manifests in the talk world is what one is after, isn't it? Right? Isn't that what your meditation is about, Joan? Aren't you trying to master the
Mm-hmm.
feelings in the body, the image in the head, the talk in the head, by
Right.
working with them, by visiting them, by
Mm-hmm.
moving them around, by mastering them? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like mastering your muscles by working with it, moving it around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, when you meditate, it's all about awareness and accepting how you feel, what you're thinking about, accepting what is, and then you can decide from there what you're going to do with what is. You can always, you have control over how you feel. You have control over what goes in your head, what images come in your head. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's hard to get out of it. We get so caught up in it. But at the same time, I mean, if you're aware of it and you accept it as is, then you can take control of it.
Did we get this super chat?
Let's see. Sir Tice, salute Ike for this compelling topic that I happen to agree with.
Shout out, shout out, shout out, shout out, shout out. So the title says happiness, chasing happiness is for losers. We have agreed that as far as having a political dispensation, in other words, as far as dealing with other people, as far as the ethics of other people, the agreement, the basics of other people, that the whole modern political project has used some basic emotions, such as the desire not to die, desire not to be enslaved, and the desire to freely go pursue your fantasies. We call it life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We call them rights. We say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you get those, I get those. If you get those and I get those, we can be cool, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
cool. So Tice, we cool, and we say, okay, we're cool. That's fine. But when it comes to your own internal life, happiness is a very, shall we say, broken and too large barometer for measuring anything such as your well-being, self-actualization, or what it is you're actually after, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which many other words may better describe. But before we go any further, let's see what Teal Swan has to say about it, okay? Because I think we've said quite a bit
I
already. Uh,
know.
we got quite philosophical, even though we haven't explained everything yet. But we promised to explain everything, don't we, John?
Yep. We always do.
Fair use.
Oh.
Yeah. Groovy. Fair use.
Give up on happiness.
Hello, everyone. Happiness has become the new enlightenment, the new heaven, an unattainable goal, a finish line that keeps receding. When spiritual teachers, including myself, emphasize the importance and the value of happiness,
I like how she threw, including myself. Don't forget, my cult is the best cult.
something interesting happens. People start to feel as if something has gone wrong if they aren't happy. That only adds unhappiness to unhappiness.
This is the first place I wanted to pause, and this is the first place that she paused into the dramatic blackout in the video, because the part of my hypothesis is this: having happiness as a goal causes a lot of people, especially the kinds of people that use the word like happiness. Okay, we're not coming for them, but let's state. Let me at least state my experience. I'm
Mhm.
again one of those people who doesn't use the word happiness. I don't think about it in that way. Um, to be honest, I don't also think about the word love either much, or it's not really my thing, or ever. To be honest, um, yeah, what does that mean? It means that these big words I have, they're big containers. A word is a container for a concept, right?
Mhm.
Just like a border around a concept. That's what a word is. Some words have borders that are too big, like a hammer. I use scalpels, right? And
Mhm.
precision tools to describe the intricacies of what's inside that bucket called love. Because when you use these blunt instruments, you get all the blunt instrument problems, right?
Mhm.
People are swinging it at each other, don't know what the hell they're talking about, and happy, I'm not in love, and blah, 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 blah. People are already sheep to begin with, right? So,
Mhm.
in my experience, the people who say things like happy, I am not happy, it seems to be a problem of expecting something,
Yep.
right? They're always seeming to be expecting something. The circumstances that they may be in or not, let's remove the biochemical imbalance or whatever. We know that there are illnesses and diseases of the psyche, and people with broken knees and broken spleens, and also brain issues exist. So we're not talking about that, right? We're just talking about the I'm not happy crowd, or the happiness, or oh, I just wanted to be happy, or I want that whole thing. There's always some strange, again, the pursuit of a future state, biochemically and physiologically and all that stuff, that is better than their current state. And
Mhm.
they're associated with story and object or this or that circumstance, future. And the problem itself goes my hypothesis is just stop expecting. I know it's easy to say, but Does that at least make sense for us to say, hey, could we try stopping expecting this crap?
No, that's what it is. You know, when you pursue a feeling, I mean, happiness is a feeling, and as we talked about, like, you know, emotions, feelings, they're temporary, and it's, yeah, the ego wants to hold on to something, right, or wants to grab onto something. The ego has expectations of a situation, a person, a thing. And I think what's the problem, yeah, it is that problem, like when you expect too much of something, of someone, or whatever. A lot of times you are disappointed because, I mean, you can't really expect everyone to do exactly what you want. You know, you can have all the expectations you want, but everyone, or you know, situations are unpredictable, people are unpredictable, and when you have expectations, a lot of times you're just disappointed. You know, I think it's just better to go on with your life without expectations, because when things do happen, you're surprised and you're like, oh wow, that's great, you know, because you didn't expect anything. But when you expect something, you're already setting up that situation to be you're molding it in your head. But then when it doesn't come out that way, then you're just pissed, you know, because like it's not what I thought it was going to be or wanted it to be.
Mhm.
Expectations do ruin a lot of, I mean, I think expectations like ruin relationships. I think expectations ruin, you know, the moment, you know, ruin this being present thing. When you expect something to
Hmm.
be something, I think it actually makes situations worse, or makes, you know, relationships worse. Whatever, you know, like I think, yeah, just drop the
Chasing
expectations.
happiness will kill your joy. Is that
Hmm.
what it's kind of, we can put it that way. You chase happiness, you'll kill your joy. You chase happiness, you'll actually ruin the bigger picture. Right? You end up ruining your life because you're chasing a tiny little thing here. Now,
Hmm.
shout out to the super chatters. You guys are being quite generous today, ladies and gentlemen. It's always much appreciated out here. And if you don't mind reading Joan, what we got?
From technological chaos. Ironically, invention and solving problems are born from crisis, despair, displeasure. People have to improve at some aspect just to be alive, acquire a state of purpose. If people were collectively happy at once, mass extinction. Okay.
Mhm. So I described earlier this whole life thing in a very rudimentary way,
Hmm.
right? In terms of basic energy differentials which are needed. You need a hot place and a cold place, and you need the flow. The heat wants to dissipate, the cold wants to absorb. Whatever you how you put it, that balancing thing that happens where water wants to flow downhill and hot wants to go into the cold, right? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
Life needs that, right? We need these energy differentials and so on and so forth. And we're constantly, because it's a process until it ends, right? Constantly having to speak in a particular way, fight against entropy, fight against the disorder, fight against death, right? Constantly dying and replenishing. So that means you got to go out there, grab energy, do these things. And all these things require you to, life is the will to power, as Nietzsche said, right? And this thing is it's a boiling cauldron. It's not it never if it's steady, you're dead, right? The only way you can be in this state of stasis is when you're dead or in, locked up in stasis in some sci-fi chamber, which we don't have yet, right?
Yet.
But so shout out to technological chaos. That particular comment there makes me think about that, which is that this thing is quite fundamental to what we are in terms of this perturbation. How do we experience it again? We experience it as feelings in the body, doing their thing, images in the head and talk in the head, doing its thing. You get angry, you get hot behind the ears, and words are flashing and things in your head you can't hear anymore. You're gripping the steering wheel and cussing. All that's how you experience the perturbation and all that kind of stuff. The desire from one state, having these preferred states, depending on context. Anyways, so yeah, so far so good in terms of Teal Swan. She has said that people expecting happiness perhaps is a issue. And let's just repeat to see spiritual teachers such as myself. Shout out.
Hello, everyone. Happiness has become the new enlightenment, the new heaven, an unattainable goal, a finish line that keeps receding. When spiritual teachers, including myself, emphasize the importance and the value of happiness, something interesting happens. People start to feel as if something has gone wrong if they aren't happy. That only adds unhappiness to unhappiness. There is a kind of shame that arises within us when we are unhappy. This is especially painful when we identify with being unhappy. Some of us don't have any idea what happiness really is because we have never felt it. We feel the very worst about ourselves because we can't seem to get life right and be happy like other people can. We begin to feel like we are karmically destined to suffer. This issue of attaching to happiness is just a branch off of the tree of trying to get life right.
Okay. So, any thoughts come to mind that you want to comment on what you said so far, or no, Joan?
No, it's very. I mean, I totally agree with what she has to say about all that. I mean, people do, like the ego, right, attaches to this identity of being unhappy or being happy and comparing themselves to other because they have what they don't have, and that's the problem with wanting to hold on to something that's temporary. But it's this thing, like, do people even realize that happiness, that future state of being that they're pursuing, that it's temporary? Like, it's going to change, and you get there and you're like, oh, I feel happy, okay, now what? Then you're going to go chase that similar moment again. You're going to chase for something else that makes you happy, or again, like, it's going to keep you expecting, and yet unless you learn not to expect things, you're constantly going to be unhappy because you're chasing something that's not permanent. Happiness is not permanent. Happily ever after is not real.
Do you like the blues, Joan?
The blues. I do listen to some blues, yes.
Okay. You know why I asked that?
No.
So here's the thing about sounding the way we've been sounding so far. Not using the word happiness, talking about the fact that it is a fleeting thing and this and that and the other. I've also explained that, okay, there are smaller words that I use to describe more granular things within the world of feelings, image, and talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that when you're doing that, there's like 20 different kinds of happy and about 72 different kinds of sad. So you stop using certain big words that are low resolution and are not adequate for doing what you need to do. But why I asked about the blues is this. Hey, it does suck. I don't get life right. People who, in other words, the whole expectation that life isn't gonna suck is I think it's kind of like the people who don't appreciate the blues. Life is the blues, okay? I agree with the Buddha there that, hey, some people say, oh, it's a little like Buddha and Jordan Peterson, life, the way Jordan Peterson would put it, life is suffering, I agree with them. Life is the blues, but it is beautiful. The blues are beautiful. So there is a cynical eye that you have, Joan, right? That I'm trying to expose. Joan exposed.
Joan exposed.
The cynical eye, because you have that eye too. You're looking at the world not with rose-colored glasses, and you're not asking them to look at the world with rose-colored glasses either. You're looking at it with blues-colored glasses. Blues is a particular example. Cynicism could be another extreme. But whatever it may be, you understand the tragedy of life, right? That's not why that's not why you don't care about it. It's not because you think life is great or that there's no tragedy, right? Am I ringing a bell there? Anything you want to confess? Do you indeed recognize the tragedy, and you're a blues woman?
I think, I believe people create their own suffering. Yeah. I mean, there are situations where people do intentionally harm others, but I think for the most part, people create their own suffering. People choose to feel a certain way. And the thing is, if we get into like biochemical, physiological stuff, I mean, unfortunately, if you keep, when you feel a certain way and then your ego holds on to it and your body chemicals, like, your body reacts to like like emotions are chemical reactions in your body, so it's your body gets addicted to these chemical reactions, and therefore that's why people get stuck in like longer states of beings and certain emotions. But I think my point is that we do create our own suffering. We can choose how we feel about something, and if you're feeling down, and if you're able to perceive that idea that you can feel greater than how you feel at that moment, I mean, that's powerful. You're powerful if you can change the way you feel. You can react differently to certain things, and you can maneuver, your life with knowing that you can choose how you feel about something. And again, life can be, life is a tragedy if you choose to look at it that way. It doesn't
Oh,
have to
come
be. I
on,
think
Joan.
life.
You're not okay. You're good. No, we're not gonna force it out of you in one broadcast, Joan. We're gonna get the tragedy out of you one of these days. I would confess that I do have a tragic view of life. And perhaps my words are harsh, right? Because again, I'm just kind of a cold, calculated kind of person like that. So when I say tragic, somebody may be thinking something really extreme. It just means I understand the blues, right?
Mhm.
And I understand that the blues is part of the sweetness of the porridge there. Without it, it's not. Without the striving, without the losses in the past, without the nostalgia, by the way, is a long, feeling for an old wound. It's not about a good thing that happened typically. It's usually about some kind of, one feels, at least me, I feel nostalgic about times when I was really, really struggling and things were falling
Mhm.
apart and, oh, I can't make 2 months rent in a row and something, blah, blah. There's the notice on the wall to get kicked. Those are fun times. I mean, that's what really gives the sauce to the story. Because
Mhm.
think about it, Joan. You heard fairy tales and other kinds of stories growing up, right?
Mhm.
And you may even be a fan of a tale or two these days. I don't know if you're a novel reader or something. But imagine a hero, okay? This hero needs to defeat someone else across town in this castle. And all
Mhm.
this hero does is crosses the bridge, defeats them, and comes back home. That's not a cool story. No, the hero has to have gone down to the deepest dungeon of the castle, right? We got
Mhm.
caught into this and that. He experienced all kinds of things. He got scared, this, that, and the other. That's what makes it a beautiful story. We like it, we smile. This too is, whether you like it or not, your life as well. Okay.
Yeah, of course. I
So
mean, I've definitely went through tragedies and whatnot, but I mean, yes, like everything is
isn't it
up and
beautiful?
down. Oh, yeah, of course, that's what makes life beautiful. I mean, I agree with that. But again, I think we do create our own suffering, and some things are, like, yeah, we have no control over, and then there are things that we do have control over.
Mm-hmm.
Tragedy
Mm-hmm.
sells.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to point out. Tragedy sells. No one's going to watch a movie without tragedy in there.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Now, and by the way, just to explain, and I'm going to explain, I'm going to put in a little category, put it in a box, and put it away. All that was all the artistic mode of coping. By the way, let me
Mhm.
just put it that way. So it's the artistic mode of coping. I'm a songwriter. I'm a blues kind of guy, whatever. So I have the ability to. It's an outlet, right?
Yes.
You can
Mhm.
you can beautify life that way.
Mhm.
Now, here is an argument. Let's get philosophical for a second. Friedrich Nietzsche said that all of religion, as a matter of fact, is this beautification of life with
Mhm.
art,
Mhm.
is the chapel and the tall cathedral and the paintings of the glasses of the whatever and the chanting of the whatever and the thinking of the highest things and hosanna in the highest. That this is all an artistic endeavor, which it we can agree it is art and artistic endeavor, but very similar to the one I described, very similar to the outlets. What do you have to say about that? You are an artist of sorts. Do you have artistic outlets for your, and is this what helps you along with this happiness issue?
Yes, I do accept when I feel, I'm having those tragic moments. I do accept that. I do express myself in certain ways. I mean, I love to cook. I mean, that's one way of me expressing myself. I play drums. That's one way for me to express all my repressed anger. But yes, I mean, it's okay. So I do say that we create our own suffering, but at the same time, I mean, suffering can create beautiful things. The way you're explaining, it's because of suffering we're able to see what's beautiful, right? I mean, if we did not suffer, we would not see the opposite side, the other side. So suffering is, what all the songwriters write about, what the painters paint about. It's all those things that we all can relate to. We all can relate to each other's suffering, and that's how we build a connection through the arts and the music and anything creative like that.
All right. Let's go back to the teal.
When we feel as if we are happy, we feel like we are getting our life right. When we feel like we are unhappy, we feel like we are getting our life wrong. So we hold the belief that we should be happy even when we aren't happy. That compounds unhappiness. It perpetuates it. When we think that we should be happy when we're not happy, we start to resist our negative emotions. We feel bad about them. I've said it a million times before, and I'm saying it again. Whatever we resist persists. So in thinking that we should be happy, in pushing against our negative emotions, we stay stuck in those negative emotions. When we become resistant to suffering and to our own unhappiness, the desire for happiness no longer feels good. It feels desperate because we want something we don't think we can have. We want happiness, but we don't think we can have it.
So we stop here, and before we lose the track, we are here at Desperation. Last week, or the last time we had the conversation, we were talking about money, Grant Cardone, money. We made it internal and external demarcation. We talked about how if you're desperate, you don't get anything. We talk about the principle, I think it's the Matthew principle, right? For those whom have, more shall be given until they have an abundance. And for those whom do not have, even the little that they do have will be taken away from them. And that's how the world works. So basically, we're here again with that pattern, right? You just saw that. The pattern now, but happiness is the thing. It's not money anymore. It's happiness. And you mentioned something about money the same way people, what people think about money. You said that they treat it as though it was it had agency, it was a human being, it was humanized, it was anthropomorphized, it had its own will, its own goal. You can't get it. It's fate-driven, and so on and so forth. She just mentioned the same thing with happiness. And by the way, money and happiness are always kind of closely related. People are afraid of both of them, and that's why they always say money will make you happy. Secretly, they want money because they think it'll make them happy. All that bullshit that the sheep say. But the idea here of but anyways, any thoughts so far about the fact that we are here again where there's desperation, and if there's desperation, you're never going to get it. Right? You have money if you're desperate about money, you're never going to get money. If you're desperate about her number, you're not going to get her number. If you're desperate for the sale, and it shows and all that kind of stuff, you're not skillful. In other words, pure desperation never works. Let me go back to my feeling, image, talk template, right? What does pure desperation feel like, right? In your body, and how is it going to come across and make the other person across the room feel like, right? That's what kills the deal. Okay. All right. We could get into the granularity of it, but when you're stiff, you're going to make, you're a performer. You're going to make everybody stiff. And nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants the performance. Nobody's going to go along with you. You want to get people in your hypnotic drive, whether you're singing to them or you're selling to them. You want to be loose. You don't want to be stiff, right? And being loose requires you not holding on to the thing for desperate life. Like, oh my God, if I don't get your attention, I'm going to die. That doesn't work. So, any thoughts, or have I usurped all the thoughts again?
Well, back to like what she's talking about, it becomes like a never-ending cycle because happiness is like a concept that people have in their head, like, oh, I have to be happy. This like it's again a future state of being that's not permanent, but you hold on to this concept of if I do this, I'll be happy. But when you're not feeling that, or it's because you're not there, you're not at that outcome that's supposed to make you happy, yeah, then you become desperate. And the problem with that is that because you keep reminding yourself, this is not how I feel right now. Like, I can't accept that I feel this way right now. You keep repeating this emotion inside you, in your body. And then with those emotions, obviously thoughts arise, talk in the head arise. And then with all that talk in the head, all the image in the head, triggers emotions, and then becomes this never ending cycle unless you're able to accept, like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I allowing myself to feel this way? I can change the way I feel about something. I can change my perspective of how, an outcome should be or could be or whatever, or just not have expectations at all. But that's the problem. Like, people just get so caught up in, what they expect, and they don't realize that these negative thoughts and feelings, they go in circles. You go in a cycle, and that's how people end up staying depressed or anxious or whatever, because they keep feeding these thoughts in their head, in turn feeding their emotions. And so that's how
How do you
people
deal with stage fright, John?
stage fright.
Mhm. Because
uh
it's a very good kind of how to, because it's
mhm.
related to all the same things, all the same kinds of fears and things like that. How do you
Right.
deal with stage fright?
Well, when I haven't felt that in a long time, but when I was in college, that was like the phase where I really felt stage fright, right? Because I was playing in orchestra and like trying to get into the big band and the pop. We had a pop ensemble in college, and
You're such a band geek.
yeah, no, not really, but I I got over the stage fright just by doing it over and over, right? And recognizing, like, oh my God, like, I have stage fright every time I'm on stage. So I was able to recognize that. At the end of the day, I accepted that, hey, I got to do this. I have to accept that this task has to be done. And, the more I did it, the more I accepted, like, this is going to happen, the more I became comfortable with this thing that has to be done. So it took a couple years to get over that, and it's a lot of like self development and self acceptance, and just realizing how I feel when I'm at a certain situation. And that's how I was able to overcome it, just by accepting, like, hey, I got to do this, and I want to do this, and the feelings will come and go, and at some point I've been able to get those feelings to go away, like stage fright. I just don't feel them anymore.
Hmm. So exposure therapy by repetition, exposing yourself to the
Hmm.
situation. So I'm going to repeat one of my tips. I use it till today. I use it for any presentation or any gig or anything I'm going to do. It goes along with the same principle of exposure. So I'm not going to tell you anything crazy, right? But it's just particular tips. I arrive early at the room and I sit in different positions in the room. If you have access to the room, you're going to have a big meeting at a boardroom. Maybe you don't have access to the boardroom, but you at least have access to the lobby of the freaking building. Become very comfortable with that lobby, right? Make it like your living room. Know
Hmm.
every little crack in every crevice. Hear the sound of the air conditioning. Find the stain on the carpet. Feel the temperature of the room. Make all the things about the room become kind of part of your being. All I'm saying is become acclimated to the room. The room is now going to feel like your bathroom, your bedroom, and you perform well in your bathroom and your bedroom because it's your zone, right?
Hmm.
It's your arena, it's your space. So when I get to a bar that I'm going to sing at, okay, I do, and you may have seen me do this before. Like, I walk around the room, I go to different corners of the room. Uh, I do it systematically, and that's why I'm doing that. I'm trying to be the most comfortable person in that room. That's the goal. If you're the most comfortable person in that room, you stand a chance of being the most influential person in that room as well. Why? Because we just described the feelings that you transmit
Hmm.
when you're comfortable. And that's a feeling that people want to be with. That's how you do your cult leader stuff. Ain't that right, Joe?
So the goal is to pursuit of comfort.
Exactly. You make them comfortable, and then now they're eating out of your hands. So go to the room early, feel the room, touch the room, taste the room, sit in different positions in the room. You're going to be, by definition, the only person that has seen the room in many different angles. The people sitting at the bar, they're comfortable with the bar. They're like, hey, this is my corner, right? But you've been at the bar, you've been over there, you've been over there, you've been over there, you've been at the dance floor, you've been everywhere. It's like you're like, hey. And whether it's the boardroom at Wells Fargo, it's going to be like your room because you've sat in different. Come early and do that routine. Obviously, be ready and be prepared with your material and all that other kind of stuff. But that is a tip that I would give for any kind of. We got there because we got into fear and nervousness and then blah 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 and how it'll kill you. But let's go back to Teal Swan, and she's saying, "Hey, chasing happiness as a goal might be in itself the cause of your misery."
So we are focused on suffering and on unhappiness. So what's the best thing we can do? Give up on happiness. This may sound odd and like a bit of a contradiction coming from someone like me who has dedicated their life to teaching people to reach happiness. But what you find is that these contradictory ideas are in fact complementary. If you give up on happiness, you are releasing resistance to suffering and/or unhappiness. Imagine that you lived your life in a continually flowing gale force wind. When you are resisting something, it's as if you are turned against that air current, face first. It's hard to breathe, it's hard to move because you're pushing against that strong air current. It's exhausting. When you stop resisting something, you allow the gale force wind to blow you wherever it wants to take you. Now imagine that this gale force wind has one prerogative, and that's to take you to everything that you've been asking for, to take you to that which is wanted. Now, do you see the benefit of going with the wind? The universe is this gale force wind.
I tend to not be down.
I'm sure you've all heard of somebody who wanted a promotion for years. They wanted it desperately. They tried everything they could think of to get that promotion until one day it became so painful to.
But I got it, right? What do you think about that kind of language, by the way? I don't think you're probably as extreme as me, but I don't think you like the universe is just gonna take you to the place that you should be or have, kind of like, I know what you're saying, but the language is very misleading. Do you get that same feeling too, or no?
Well, yes, because it makes it sound like you don't have to do anything.
The law of attraction. If you just want it, Bentley.
Go with the flow, just, sit in someone else's Bentley and then one day you'll have one.
Exactly. It's so, but here's what I know to be true. Okay. And it is here's the thing. Psychology plays a lot into this. What do I mean by psychology? We just talked about feeling in the body, image in the head, and talk in the head. We talked about subjective consciousness. That's what we have defined subjective consciousness by putting 3 gauges. It's like we're playing video games, right? We have the feeling in the body gauge, we have image in the head gauge, and talk in the head gauge. Okay. Subjective consciousness, psychology, okay, and how people experience feeling, image, and talk, and how they use it differently. And we know that people use these things differently. Some people are not great they're not much in the feeling department. They're much more thinkers, let's say, right? Intuitives like Teal Swan over there, or like you, Joan, or like me, just is a personality type. They're the ones responsible mainly for the woo language, okay? Mm-hmm. But guess what? It works in their life. Let me try to explain this. I sound like I'm rambling again. I'm struggling up here, but I'm loose. I still got him, Joan. I still got him. Okay. So basically, the idea is going with the flow works for an intuitive, because the way an intuitive moves is bumps into walls a lot, kind of feels things through. You kind of can see the gift, the intuition part is you can see the future, not in some kind of woo way, but you kind of see how things can work even if you've never seen them work before. Right?
I
Is that
guess.
kind of jiving with your personality? Yes. You never seen it work before. You never, it's like you don't really sweat the small stuff or the details, but you're like, that could work. And you kind of bump your way through with a little bit of fortitude and this and that, it works out. So that whole, well, I just kind of attracted it and I wished it, so on and so forth, that's intuitive talk. I get it, right? I live that way 100%. Okay. I'm very structured too, and I blah, blah, blah. But the plan in my life, there's no goddamn plan. It is that vision that just sees, and then real time just bumping into it's like I'm breaking it into microsecond by microsecond. What do you mean big plan? It's like I'm just in the pool. I'm just moving with every molecule of the water, right? Going with the flow, right? That's it. But it's a certain personality type. And again, they're cult leader types. The reason I like to call myself cult leader and all that kind of stuff, because I get it, it's a personality type. Okay. She's one too, right? What she's saying works. But if you're not her personality type, and if she doesn't give you the precise words, because we would say, okay, here's precisely what we are doing, right? And we're mastering our internals so that we can sail through and bump into walls. We're kind of like, we build up this kind of internal bubble of like, I can do anything, and because I can handle feelings in the body, image in the head, and talk in the head. The external world be damned. I'll bump into walls and I'll come out there on the other side. I've done it 10,000 times. I'll do it again. Right? That's the intuitive. That's what she's saying. But they don't tell you that way. They're just like, oh, the universe wants to take you there. That's bullshit. The universe doesn't want to take me anywhere. I just gotta like do the things that I just described to you. Anything you want to say about that, Joan?
Yeah, it's okay. So like, I mean, I understand her woo talk, because I do apply those woo talk principles in my life in some ways, but I also, see the other side. Like, okay, if I'm not her personality, like how do I perceive it? Right? It's like, oh, universe just, basically lays out your life and you don't have to do anything. But the thing is, like, someone who doesn't have her personality wants to see steps. Okay, so what do you mean? Like, what do I have to do? How do I get from here to here? How do I track into my? You got to give me steps. And there's a lot of people that are that way. A lot of people I know, like, if I talk about something, they're like, I don't get it. It's because they want exact steps. They want to be taken by the hand on how you do something. And the thing is like with like attracting things in your life and all that stuff. I mean, I totally believe that, but for someone who needs steps, well, how do you attract things into your life? How do you attract happiness in your life? How do you attract wealth into your life? Well, when you talk about your vision, right? You have a vision, you don't really have a plan, because the thing is, plans do change, like you can have a plan for your life, but unless you really have a vision, like plans will change, no matter what your vision is, your plans can change. So I think what it comes down to is just being that person, right? Like just being that person, like whatever your vision is, how are you going to get there? You got to be that person that does that the person that has the money, like the person that, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but feels the happiness, or is able to feel the happiness, you got to just be that person.
Yeah, it's the intuition. The intuitives know that we know a little magic trick. The magic trick is you just gotta be the person, and things start happening.
Yeah.
Now, and it sounds like woo if you say it that way, but I already just described exactly what it is. And somebody just mentioned in the chat that it sounds very internal, very introverted. What we just said, right? And it is true, yes. Because here's what I think. I know my personality type. I think I know Joan's personality type, and I know Teal Swan's personality type. And guess what? We're all the same. I think we're all INTJs. It's all this introverted, intuitive type thing going on. Cult leader types. They're called the mastermind, blah, blah, blah. That whole thing. And you know that if you go internally and you shape feeling, image, and talk in a manner, and you master it in a manner that you can be something, you manifest it outwardly. Not magically, but by your actions, by your dispositions, by the way you can influence the room, by your loose, blah, 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 and it'll happen. Just give it a few years, and then you just repeat, 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 repeat. So I like to be more practical, though. Again, check out my meditation series. Anyone, go out there and check out my meditation. What is it called on YouTube when you have a playlist? Yes, my meditation playlist. And that's why I kind of just break down into how to meditate, 5 series, why to meditate, 5 series, breaking down concentration, sensory clarity, equanimity, right? Because you need the concentration to focus on the feeling, the image, and the talk. You need the sensory clarity to discern the different kinds of the feelings so that you know all the 15 different kinds of sad and happy. That's why I'm talking about that, because of the writing that is on the screen right now. Would you mind reading for us what's on the screen, Joan?
Okay, from Miles Nevison. Consciousness is a spotlight. Ultimately, we are all states simultaneously. It's only that our consciousness can only narrowly focus on
YouTube.
few states at a time. But we are always happy and sad.
Oh, yeah. So, Joan, that's what I'm saying there. I'm basically saying that the flow of the river is always it's always in, it can be in any of these states, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at every moment we're kind of taking a slice, like slice by slice by slice,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you can master the flow, oh, what kind of woo is that? I'm like, no, it's just you break it down into these 3 items in the dashboard: feeling in the body, image in the head, and talk in your head. And then you spend a lot of time, just like you spend time with curls and bicycle riding or whatever. You spend a lot of time working on those things. In other words, developing concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity so that you can work on those, you can deal with those things. It'll enable you to be able to kind of cut through, and also, like you're in your woo way, talk about, oh, it's a choice to look at the world as a tragedy. But that's how it's an internal battle. It's an internal thing that you're doing, is it not, Joan? Right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's, again, the world is as it is. The present moment is as it is. It's how you're going to react to it. It's up to you internally. I guess, like how he's saying, consciousness is a spotlight. I mean, all possibilities are out there. All feelings are felt. It's like you just choosing what feeling is going to manifest in your body. How you're like whatever talk and images in your head that you allow to take over your mind, and then depending on what you allow in your mind is how your body is going to react. And you can choose, like you can be like, oh, well, that sucks, like, oh, that's interesting, oh, what a surprise. I mean, like, those are all different ways you could feel about something. We're all capable of feeling all those things. It's just you choosing like which way you want to look at it. But you have to be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of what's going on in your mind. You have to be aware that things are just as they are. And I think that's the thing that people have trouble with, when we communicate with each other, when we interact with people. People are unpredictable, and they might mean one thing, but or to you they might mean something, but then they really meant something else. And again, like we can feel all these things. We're completely capable of feeling the other thing. It's just more like, what do you focus on? What are you're getting yourself used to, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're saying, hey, just like Teal Swan said, that chasing happiness will lead you to being unhappy, just like the chasing and the desperation. Because of the chasing aspect, because of the desperation aspect, because of those things which we know, whether we're talking about money or happiness and so on and so forth. Plus, talking about happiness keeps you in this low resolution state with this big word that doesn't have much good grip on it as to the reality of what it takes to operate your subjective consciousness, the reality of what it takes to play this video game. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a 1 in the chat? The idea is to remove the remote controller that only has 1 button, okay? And we want to have a remote controller that has about 6 buttons. When you use words like happiness, and just like happiness and love and big words like that, you're limited in your buttons. Does that make sense in the chat? Can I get 1 in the chat if this makes sense? that when you break it down and you disaggregate it and you say, okay, there's feelings in the body, there's image in the head, there's talk in the head. There's this transition of time where I take these slices of the blah, 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 blah. There are these different states which are more or less desirable. I cannot exist with being in the same state, so on and so forth. We're increasing. Now we got like a 24 button controller that we're playing the video game with. We can sidestep, we can strafe, we can jump and twist and turn. Before, we just had one move. That is the idea. That is the whole goal here of the mastery of subjective consciousness, ladies and gentlemen. So let's continue a little bit, and then we'll start landing the plane, Joan.
Want that promotion, that they gave up on it, and instead they started looking for a new job. And within hours or days, they got that phone call telling them that they got the job. Now, it's tempting to think that this is an ironic, cruel joke that's being played by a malevolent universe. But the reality is, in the moment that the person gave up on that desire, they released resistance to what they did not want. And releasing resistance to what you don't want allows you to flow in the direction of what is wanted. You can't cause yourself to unwant something. So the person in this scenario didn't not want the promotion. You can't unwant something you want. So even though they still had that desire, giving up on getting it allowed them to release enough resistance that they got it. The universe already knows.
Okay, Joan. We're going to start retracing our footsteps. There are a few things here, and there are a few more things, actually. She gets a little bit more detailed. But we're still in the what you resist persists region, right? What you resist persists. If this happiness becomes this burden on you, if this expectation becomes this burden on you, it will become a problem. If all you have to define this happiness is some vague feeling, some keeping up with the Joneses, some kind of a expectation that somebody else is doing something correctly in a way that you are not, some grass is greener delusion that you have, then of course it's going to be a problem. Even after you get final resolution of everything, you still find that, oh, it is impossible to be in that desirable state all the time. But there you can have a big context that could give you joy. You could get the joy by looking at your life as a blues type of tale, right? A hero's journey. And a hero's journey is always better when you go to the dungeon and then has to come out and deal with this guy and deal with the other guy, right? That whole kind of thing. That is the slight journey we have taken, ladies and gentlemen. So, any kinds of recollections, Joan, or things you want to kind of say as we unwind this?
In Wu language, whatever you want,
You
just
go.
put it out there and
Let's go.
let
Woo.
it go.
Let's go.
Let it
Yes.
go. You know,
Let it
letting it
go.
go. Just
Let it
believe
go.
in yourself that you're going to have it. It's yours. No, for reals though. I think what she's talking about with the resistance thing, right? When you want something so bad, you get desperate and then you get sad or all the negative feelings, right? Like that pushes that thing you want away, you know, energetically, right? You put out this energy that, oh, I want something, but I can't have it. So when she talked about how, oh, suddenly that person gave up on it, well, that was that, you know, releasing that resistance, like releasing that desperation. So you just let it go. And then all of a sudden, you know, because if it was meant for you, it came after you. So, I mean, I definitely believe that, you know, when you want something, you know, obviously you have that vision. You make sure it's in your vision. Like you know that if you want something, you got to be that person, and that's you just letting it go and just doing the act of getting that thing. You're not like, you know, just waiting for it to happen. You're not just waiting for the happiness to happen. This is the thing, like with happiness, right? Like we're expecting certain people, scenarios, you know, things to make us feel happy. But again, you know, happiness is temporary and you're always going to be chasing. I mean, as humans, we're always just chasing the best thing. We're always chasing something, right? We're never satisfied. That's something that, you know, with happiness, right? Like we're never satisfied. So I think at the end of the day, you know, just be in the moment. Just be in the moment, be present with what you have, accept things as they are, and just enjoy the ride. And it's not, you know, they always say it's not about the destination, it's the journey.
Dan Pena hates that statement, by the way. He's like, "God, you're talking about it's a freaking. You better get there to freaking destination." You know.
Because once you
uh,
get to that destination, there's a new
mhm.
destination to go to, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
then another.
Uh, yeah. And he knows that too. But it's the problem with Wu language is that it's used as an excuse for people not to get ish done a lot of times.
Yep,
It's like
exactly.
you know, it's like yeah, if you're getting things done, yeah, sure, yeah, speak the truth that it is indeed about the journey. But you can't just be chilling like a beach bum, like I just did a journey, man. Get the hell out of here. What journey? You ain't doing shit. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope that we were able to elucidate, you know, beginning with Joan's preparations for her big gig coming up, which she is happy about and enjoy with regards to her corporate band project and stuff. And is it fun doing this kind of preparation, by the way? Like, you know, and which parts are the least fun, I should say? Is it
Hmm.
the parts that are outside of your control? You're a control freak, as I suspect that you may be a little bit.
A little bit, a
Uh,
little bit.
yeah. I got it. I got it. Yeah. So you know? So it's probably getting those other people, other pieces of the puzzle, and so on and so forth.
No, no,
Right?
for me, it's enjoyable. Yeah, just I do enjoy the preparation now that I've got it down, you know, that now I'm comfortable with the preparation side of things. I mean, when we first started doing this, it was very uncomfortable because we didn't know what to do. It was very stressful because there were things that we were just not used to. But now that we've gotten used to it, like I don't think it's as stressful. I don't think it's going to take up as much time. I'm comfortable with it now. So I actually enjoy, you know, learning the songs or you know, getting the musicians together. And, you know, I enjoy giving people opportunity to play music, and I enjoy creating an opportunity for myself to play music. The not so fun part are the things, yeah, not in my control, like getting this client to sign the contract. Like I wish they had signed it 3 months ago, but they signed it 1 week ago. That's not, you know, that's not ideal. But at the end of the day, we wanted to do this. You know, we wanted to move forward and we did it. And, you know, everything so far is okay. And we're excited about it.
So far, okay. So far, okay. Ba-da-dum-bum. That's a new song. It's called So Far Okay. So far, okay.
What's your
Okay.
song, Journey? Have you sang Journey for these people?
Oh yeah, I don't think I ever played a recording of uh what what are you saying? Are you challenging me? Are you saying I gotta do it now or something? Are you
There's a rap part. I think
is
everyone.
a rap part.
No, what's that song
I
about?
always used
Tell
to
me. Tell us what that song's about. Journey.
what is Journey about? And it's not Toll Road for those who because I've played Toll Road on here before, but Journey. So I always gotta because I don't know what it's about until I remember see it. Okay. Are we and in this journey? Okay. So basically it's about life. Okay. So how does the song go? Right. And I keep messing up the key on this song, but hopefully there's no one with perfect pitch listening that could hear. So rising in the morning and I'm hitting the road. Ah we oh, ah we oh, ah we oh, ah we oh. No particular destination or no route on a stroll. Ah we oh, ah we oh, ah we oh, ah we oh. And in this journey I will live, I will love, I will learn. I and I privileged to be on this holy sojourn, not for the reward or the glory, but for. So what have I been talking about? So rising in the morning, I'm hitting the road. The sun is rising, hitting the road, right? Are we oh, are we oh? I'm going right. The are we oh sound, things are moving. It's like chugga chugga chugga, that kind of thing. Oh, the song going, I'm grooving, right? No particular destination. Again, right? It's not about the destination, right?
Right?
I'm doing. I go woo in my songs. Okay, that's why in my
Exactly.
songs I'm
That's
woo.
why I called you out on that song.
Yeah, I'm very woo in my songs. Oh, the uh, people, what you waiting for? All that crap. So, in this journey, I will love. In this journey, I will live. I will love. I will learn. I and I privilege to be on this holy sojourn, not for the reward or the glory, but for searching I yearn. Are we oh? ah we oh, ah we oh, ah we oh. So yeah, it's living the life of joy on a
Mhm.
journey,
It's
and
not for
just
the reward, not for the glory.
but for the searching. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, yeah, why? Yeah, not for the reward or the glory. Yeah, why you gotta mention that? The fact that you mention it, it's got something to do with it. Yeah, I would be a fake guru and a fake cult member if I was not able to acknowledge that yes, there is ego in that statement. You see, because you won't get people to follow you because there's smart people in the chat, right? Smart people in the chat will be like, I got like, no, you gotta be like, hey, no, it's cool. I got an ego too. It's all groovy, man. Anyway, so Joan called me out and we did the song. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go out in the den of iniquity. And we got Joan on the drums in this track, by the way. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and check out Joan's channel. Her channel is called what? It's called Joan Quinto, right?
Yep, just my name.
It's her name. It's her name. So we got Joan on the track in this outro song, by the way. Peace.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what draws behind the curtain, the face of evil lurking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. Hey, I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your honors.
Run from the hill, let the will lead the mind. For living is a thrill with the doubt left behind. From the horse to the fire escape, rusted cages and pendants for sale. Streets are littered where dreams are broken. Let your true words be spoken. Higher and further away. Sail the dreams of the weak and the frail. Walk the path that the mind has chosen. Let your conscience be open. If you know a way for the youth to get a break, my brother, you should tell them. Because in the streets all they learn is the greed, the force and the rebellion. The stripes in the streets will attest to the strife. By the cold turnpike lays a bloody knife. So if you know a way to put an end to the fight, my brother, you should tell them. Ha. Shatta, watch the bullet de mascata. Hold up the light and spread the vibe with every word you utter. The matter to deliberate is how the youth them suffer. Inebriated of a cup of ignorance and squalor. Initiate the rhythm, put an end to all the schism. Eliminate the venom that infects our daily living. Rejuvenate the lessons they forgot that they were given. Know what I'm saying? If you know a way for the youth to get a break, my brother, you should tell them.